Hello, welcome to another geography podcast with myself, Mr. Baxter.
And me, Mr. Allsopp.
Right, sir. Today we're going to do climate change.
Very topical, very current.
We're going to split it down because it's such a massive end part of the natural hazards topic. You're yawning already. Stop it. I haven't even started.
It's a long day.
No, what
it's
time
been
is
a
it?
long day. Past 9. At 9. We're
At
still
night.
here, kids.
We are. Okay, so climate change, we've got to learn 4 things. We've got to learn A, how do we prove that it's happened / going to happen in the future?
Okay.
What is the evidence for it? The impacts and the responses. So
Right.
It's quite a lot. So let's just focus on the first 2.
Go
How
on.
can we prove it happens and what are the causes of it? So, first of all, in terms of the causes then, climate change and global warming are actually 2 slightly different phrases. Climate change, the idea of change, the world for hundreds and thousands of years has gone hot and gone cold, and that sort of happened
Natural process.
yeah, all throughout time.
Right.
Global warming is sort of the phenomenon we call sort of the last 50 years that humans have sort of created.
Okay, so climate change is a naturally occurring phenomenon. Ice age to warmer to colder to warmer, and then the global warming is what humans have done.
Or what humans potentially have done.
Okay.
We will come on to that.
All
So,
right.
first of all, the proof that it has happened in the past, we can look at things. We can look at things scientific, some slightly less scientific. So let's just sort of reel a few off. First of all, easy one to do. We can measure the level of the sea. And we know it's rising, so we can measure it. We've got
Right.
ocean boys out there, and they can tell us how...
Little boys,
Little boys who's out there. If you don't get your GCSEs, out you go. You can measure the sea level. What a job. Or you can measure the temperature of it. You know, things that can be measured, and if they've gone up, well,
Yes.
that proves climate is changing. We can take photos of frozen lakes and rivers in Iceland, like the glaciers.
And you see them melt and shrink and whatever every time.
Yeah, we can do that. Their retreat.
There was a big thing in the news here, seen it a couple of weeks ago, where there was a glacier that had just melted and fell into the sea, nearly crushed some guy on his canoe. He'd gone up to sort of look at this really famous glacier in Iceland, and it fell and it nearly killed him, but it didn't. He just sort of, like,
that would have been natural selection.
Got waved.
What is he going up to a glacier? Does he not know they're all breaking off?
Well, yeah that would have been natural selection.
Well, how about the next one? Something called, I'll say this slowly, dendrochronology. Right, so I've asked you beforehand what that might mean. I can see by your paper you've got a big question mark.
I've got not the foggiest. What the hell does that mean?
Right, this can be someone's job.
Right.
And it is the study.
Well, if Brexit happens, we need new jobs, don't we?
We do need some more jobs, maybe this is it. The study of trees, in particular the study of tree rings. So what we can do, we can chop down a tree.
Tree rings.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You knew that was going to go in that direction, didn't you? So the study of tree rings. I'll give you a 50-50 choice for this easy question. Do trees grow in the winter or the summer?
Summer.
Okay, we'll edit out the minute of thinking time that you had. So, the summer. So, at the summer they grow, and then at the end, they stop. And then they will not grow until the next summer. Every year, a ring is created in a tree. And you can chop the trunk down, you can see the individual rings. What dendrochronologists do is they sort of measure the distance between them. Now, obviously, we can tell the climate has changed if the rings aren't the same width apart.
Okay, so if they've grown more, it's been warmer.
Yeah.
If the rings are further apart,
yeah,
it's warmer.
Yeah.
Cool.
You got that good. I thought I'd have to spend most of this podcast explaining that to you.
But you're biology, mate. A-level biology.
You're a quick learner. We can also look at species. What about the golden toad? Again, I've got you to write this down. How this links to global warming. How do you think the golden toad links to the heating of the world?
I know that cows have a big impact on global warming.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
And cows are obviously very similar to toads.
Are they? In what way?
Hardly at all.
Right.
But maybe, I'm clutching at straws here, maybe do they release gases out their rear end like cows do that are contributing to global warming?
Yeah, that's actually right.
Oh, yes!
No, of course it's not. That is totally wrong. What on earth are you playing at? Right, the golden
could have been
toad.
the farting toad. That could be his new name.
Now, the golden toad, they were actually last seen in the rainforest of Costa Rica in 1989. Good year.
Wow.
Year I was born.
Terrible year.
Yeah, alright, ouch. As the rainforest got hotter and drier, the fungus, I'm going to have to say this
Fungus?
carefully, the chytrid fungus that was also present in the Costa Rican rainforest gave out spores. And once these spores touched the toad's skin, it would sort of stick to it. So as toads breathe through their skin, that to stop that from happening.
Right, well, can I just stop you?
No, please don't.
You've tried to ask me how this golden toad is contributing to global warming.
Yeah.
How the hell was I supposed to know that?
Well, the fact you've come out with farts like cows ? Yeah, I don't think you ever would have got
I was
it.
never going to know that.
So you've got, here we are, crytridomycosis. That is the disease spread by this fungus spreading itself onto these toads, and they died, and they become extinct.
Oof.
So they are sort of a milestone in, they are the first species of animal that have become extinct due to climate change and global warming.
That we can definitely prove.
That we can definitely prove,
Yeah.
yes. Excellent. And then the last one, dare I ask, how do cave paintings link with global warming?
Right, I'm going to go for another wild and wacky answer and say that have cavemen predicted global warming, that we're all going to die in apocalyptic heat?
They might have had those thoughts, but that's not what I'm after, no. Let me explain. Right, there's a lot of caves in the southern France and southern Spain, and there's lots of paintings on the wall. Now, our assumption is that these cavemen and women and children had no imagination. So what they were drawing, they must have seen at some point in order to they didn't have paper and pen.
Rather presumptuous.
Well, I know it is, but we have to assume, for the argument that I'm trying to make,
Okay.
that they drew what was there. So if they were drawing animals on the cave walls, those animals are perhaps no longer around France and Spain because the climate may have changed. So these animals have either migrated or moved somewhere else, or
adapted
and changed.
Evolved.
Now, there's a really famous one. I'm going to show you the picture. So it's black and white. There you are.
Come on, get it the right way. Where are we looking?
There you are.
Right.
This is one of the most famous ones.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what it's called.
Go on then.
It's called the shaft scene.
Shaft scene.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So go on, try and describe the shaft scene.
So we've got a little bird by the looks of it here.
Yep.
That's looking at something that looks like it has the arms and head of a monkey, with a very long, thin body, and then blobs at the back. On the other side, there's
It's supposed to be a rhino. That one.
that's a rhino.
That's a rhino.
That's a rubbish rhino. And then there's what looks like a man with a very small head.
Yeah. Maybe just a very big body.
His hands are massive compared to his head. And then what looks like it might be some form of devil behind him.
Bison.
Horns.
I can see. Yeah, you've got the horns there. So, so this perhaps depicts a scene of Spain at the time. Do you know why it's called the shaft scene?
No.
No? Well, it was found in the part of the cave that was very narrow. So it's actually, the full title is called Dead Man's Shaft.
Right, that's an interesting name.
Anyway, so not scientific, but proof that perhaps the climate has changed in the past. You with me?
Yes.
Good, okay. On to then the causes. So if we have some proof that the climate has changed, well, what on earth is causing it? Now, we break this into two things. We go man-made and we go natural. Let's start with sort of man-made. Right. This is sort of what you do. Everyone does this in like year 7 science. If they're listening properly, everyone would know. Why are we pumping loads of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? What are we doing? What actions do we do that pumps lots of CO2 into the world?
What, as in people, like bodily functions?
No, like what our actions? What do we do?
Okay. Well, we burn fossil fuels.
Yeah, give us an example where we burn fossil fuels.
We burn coal to turn turbines and make some electricity.
Yeah, good. Or cars, carbon dioxide, factories. Cows as well. They don't give off carbon dioxide, they give off methane. Which isn't in big quantities in the atmosphere, but it does stay there longer, and is a greenhouse gas.
It's a worse greenhouse gas.
Yeah, it is. So they're all man-made reasons, all legitimate, and reasons why carbon dioxide levels have been greater now by a long way than they ever have been in the past, or certainly from what we can work out.
Right.
Natural reasons then.
Right.
Sunspots.
What are they?
Have a guess.
Spots on the sun.
Brilliant.
Are they what does it get really hot and like fire?
Yes.
Hot.
Like flares.
Flame out,
Yeah, solar flares, yeah. So the sun isn't a constant temperature, and throughout time we've now worked out that it has changed. It has got a little bit warmer, a little bit colder. The more sunspots there are, the warmer it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Since the 1970s, though, there's been less sunspots. The sun, relative to what it was before, is actually slightly colder.
So we should be colder.
We should. Why aren't we? And we go back to those man-made reasons.
Ah.
There's another one as well. Volcanoes. We would not be here without the sulfur dioxide volcanoes gave off to create our early atmosphere.
With you.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, so they could be the reason. Volcanoes are still going off today and emitting loads of sulfur dioxide, which stops the sun's rays, or sun's insolation from getting to us. But again, is that enough to warrant an unprecedented level of heat and temperature?
No.
Probably not. Well, let's give you one more then. There's a guy, he's a Serbian astrophysics called.
He's clever.
Let me give you his name, then you can judge. Milutin Milankovic.
Definitely clever.
Definitely is, isn't he? Well, I'll tell you what he studied at university: spherical geometry, celestial mechanics, and theoretical physics.
It's not history, though, is it?
It's not history, no. It's always quite sad, I think, when you have more degrees than friends. Which probably was the
case. Are you talking about me or him?
Well, I think both, actually. Yeah, both of them. So he came up with this idea. He looked apparently at atmospheric temperatures, and he was keen. I don't know why you would, but he was keen on knowing about ice ages and when they happened.
Maybe you'd seen ice ages and been inspired.
Unlikely. This was a good few years ago now, 100 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And he claimed, well, we get ice ages, but they're not all random. And he, being into the astronomy and stars, he looked up one day or whatever it was and said, well, maybe the stars, maybe the sun is to blame for this. We're getting ice ages, maybe it's something to do with the sun. And he created a page-turner of a thesis called The Distribution of the Sun's Radiation on the Earth's Surface.
Wow.
So he thought...
Have you read it?
No, I have not read that. No, I don't think many have, to be honest. But he said, well, clearly the sun's to blame for these ice ages, for our climate change. But it took him another 3 decades to realise that actually it's potentially not to do with the sun, it's just to do with the way the Earth moves around it. So the orbit of it.
So he was wasting his time writing that massive thesis.
Well, it opened the door, didn't it? So what he's now worked out, what we now call as a result, the Milankovitch cycles, is every 100,000 years, the world's orbit changes from a circle around the sun to like an oval shape. And when that happens, potentially that can trigger the ice age.
Every how long?
100,000 years.
No, it's not going to affect us.
No, we're nowhere near. Also, the Earth tilts slightly on its axis, which again might affect the climate. So, we've done 2 things. We've proven that climate change has happened, looking at cave paintings and ocean buoys and things like that. And we've maybe discussed the causes potentially being man-made, but also potentially natural as well.
Potentially.
Right,
wonderful. I feel like I've learned something there.
Good. Well, that's part one
of
climate change. Yeah, and disclaimer: golden toads don't give off a lot of greenhouse gases. Well, not now because they're all extinct.
Oh, poor toads.
Which is a shame. Anyway, right, that's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.